Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift Stage 9, the first ever Stage 9 in the race history, and a brutal mountain stage. A long-range raid possible on this sort of stage from Place Ali, which is basically they start in Megève, to Château-le-Port-du-Soleil, which is it's a high mountain stage with two medium mountains. So they go 3Ks flat into Megève, fast descent to Salonche. Descent's about 12Ks, valley of 12Ks, and then they do a Cat 1, 6.3K, 7%. That's hard. Plateau, descent, another 10K valley. Col du Jouplan, very, very hard. 11.6Ks, 8.5%. HC climb, technical descent off it. Then a shallow valley downhill, pedaling downhill. Then they do for about 13Ks, and the Col du Corbier, which is very hard, 6Ks, 8%, so another Category 1 descent. Then an uphill valley, a nasty one, 15Ks, a short uncategorized climb of 1,400 meters, 7%, short descent, and then an uphill 2.2Ks, 5.5% to the finish. Before the stage, we had Pauline Ferrand-Prevot in the yellow jersey with a pretty healthy margin after yesterday's stage. 237 ahead of Gigante, 318 on Vollering, 340 on Niewiadoma. The podium was definitely still to play for. This episode is brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling. Pre-stage, Benji, we had a couple of abandonments. Did we not? Especially Dargett out.
Yep, Dargett out after yesterday. She had already a pretty rough day yesterday. She was, I think, 7 seconds only ahead of the time limit yesterday, which that's too close for comfort, is how I describe that. So she ended up leaving the race. She was touching her wound on her leg once again while she was stepping off the bike on top of the mountain yesterday. So I assume that's part of the reason. Also, Brodie Chapman did not start today, and that's the two DNSs before the stage started. But I was looking at the battle for podium, Patrick, today, because I'll be honest, before today started, Pauline Ferrand-Prevot looked out of reach. Even if people put pressure on her, physically, she was so much stronger yesterday that I assumed that it's going to be tough to really put her under pressure to lose the 2.5, 3 minutes necessary to win this race for some riders in this race. So that I did not see as a possibility. And why the podium battle would be intriguing was because Sarah Gigante is in this race, and she was fantastic on Col de la Madeleine. But towards this final stage, we both pointed out that there's a few moments in this race on the profile that her descending skill just is worse than the other riders in the race. And as a consequence, that is a weakness for her that other riders will try to exploit. And especially already, Patrick, the descent start. We've got this breakaway trying to go up the road, multiple SD Works riders. We've got Van der Breggen attacking, Wiebes attacking, Kopecky attacking, Heditz attacking. I feel like at a certain point in the first 5 to 10 kilometers, SD Works has 3 riders off the front. But behind that, Patrick, let's discuss what happens in the peloton, because I see, was it Imogen Wolf pushing in the descent?
It was very, very strange. Pauline Ferrand-Prevot entered through Megève, terrible position. You saw De Vries bring her up, and you're like, this is a bit strange, because the chance of this descent splitting is 100%. You've got break formation, Wiebes wants to get in, or Gerritsen, sprinter's going to sprint with Van der Breggen. So that's one. Number 2, you've got Canyon SRAM or FDJ wanting to push on to keep Gigante on a gap. So either way, whether the brake's gone or not, this descent is a tricky one. There's road furniture everywhere, and Ferrand-Prevot was just asleep. This is a big mistake. I mean, It could have been a pivotal mistake. You're just in the yellow jersey, you cannot start in break formation that far back, especially with the amount of splits we've seen in women's cycling this year on descents. And with Wiebes involved or SD Works involved at the front, you just can't start there. And yeah, a rider apparently drops the wheel in front of her. Okay. But that's going to happen. If you don't start in the front third of the peloton, someone will drop the wheel. It's not a maybe. It's not a luck thing. It is going to happen.
And it's interesting because throughout this entire race, we've seen Ferrand-Prevot be a pretty competent descender, but this is now the third time, if I recall, that Ferrand-Prevot is on a gap in a descent in this Tour de France Femmes, because yesterday, 1 or 2 times it happened as well. So it's not the only time. It's something that happens more often than not. Well, that's not true. That actually happens. It's not something that happens one time. It happens more than once is what I'm trying to say. And I agree that it seemed to be more nonchalance than anything technique or descending skill-wise, because that seems okay when it comes to Ferrand-Prevot.
Well, maybe. I mean, and then at the time you're thinking, it's not as bad as Gigante, but the other riders now, if you're near the Adoma and you're Vollering, you're now thinking ahead to the Juplin descent, thinking, well, maybe she isn't so good downhill. And they certainly, Cassia did try to test her there, but it did seem indeed that it was just inattention. There was poor communication as well, because you had, as you said, you had Visma on the front drilling it, and then the whole team has to go back. It takes a while for the information to get through from their side. And then also, it takes a while for the front group to realize. It's almost like the front group did realize a bit quicker because, FDJ just started drilling it. If Dygert was here, like it could have been a big game changer for Canyon SRAM as well, because Gigante's also off the back. So they would have pulled all out. And eventually they do. FDJ with Lanaire, with Krach, and Canyon SRAM with their riders start pulling all out. And behind, we saw, Benji, it wasn't the full Visma team initially. It's Marion Bunel pulling on the flat, going nowhere.
That is true. We do see Visma Lease bike riders dropping from that front group towards the group of Pauline Ferrand-Prevot to start pacing her. More and more bees start swarming around their leader, and that group is on around 25 seconds, bring it down to roughly 20 seconds, etc. Meanwhile, Sargigante, who was behind another 20 seconds behind that group, is making it back towards the group of Ferrand-Prevot. And that also means that AG Insurance is now not necessarily helping a lot in that second group. I think they had one rider within the train, but they were actually still present in the front group, in the actual GC group, with Kim Lecourt-Pinard and Justine Hikira, who obviously won't be pacing in that front group. And you might be like, okay, why are they relaying with these other riders at the front of the GC group? Their leader is behind. Well, they're trying to disrupt the chase. In doing so, they're pretending to relay with the other riders in that GC group, but when it's their turn, they just instantly go off the front. And that kind of disrupts that relay, and it forces someone else who is 3 positions behind to have to come to the front. Then if someone doesn't notice that quickly, then there's a portion of time where it's not really pacing that hard, and that's improving the chances of that second group coming back. So slowly but surely, Ferrand-Prevot and Gigante, that group was gradually making it back to the group of Vollering. So a first shot was given after that first ascent, a first small battle, a first skirmish. But before we get to the Côte d'Arrache-La Face, we have the everybody basically back together, Patrick.
Yeah, but which was, the SD workers got caught. So Van der Breggen and Harris did get caught in that skirmish, but the Visma team's gone. Like Bunel, who's going to be your climbing support, finished. Like, she's had to ride on the flat at 50 kph, done. Lieke Noyens had to pull all out, Voss are done. De Vries maybe could make it over in a decent group, but this mistake from Ferrand-Prevot means she's going to be isolated for almost the entirety of this stage. Because if that wasn't the case, the break would have gone. So the break with Van der Breggen would already have gone in the valley. And then it would have been more chill behind. The start of the next climb would have been way easier, because who really was going to attack or pace?
Yeah.
Because the animator on this climb now is Van der Breggen. So she's like, I want to get in the break. I'm on 9 minutes. She jumps, and we now see Ferrand-Prevot like panicking. Ferrand-Prevot's marking Van der Breggen, who's on 9 minutes, and it's like, just let her go in the break, let it stop, let it calm down, let De Vries come back or something. She's marking her, it doesn't go anywhere. Mavi Garcia goes, she's marking her. Labu goes, she's marking her. It's like, is she going to blow herself up here? Because she got into like a, when things start badly, it can continue worse. Eventually, Van der Breggen goes clear. Mega strong today. What a turnaround.
Super strong, super strong. And Patrick, she's going on a solo attack here in this race, but you know who else will be going on a solo attack on their group ride pretty soon? You, Patrick, after the joint cycling training plan.
I will be, because the Tour de France is over. We've gone from Giro, Dauphiné, Altitude Camp, Tour de France home, Tour de France Femmes, and now before the Vuelta, I got my own little entrenamiento, a little bit of training back on the menu. I don't have to watch cycling with as much seriousness. I can watch Arctic Race of Norway or something with a little bit more less seriousness, I would say. And that's sometimes training can feel overwhelming. Maybe your schedule's a mess. Maybe you've had a busy July like myself. Maybe you're not chasing a race, but that's exactly why Join exists, because it gives you smart, flexible training that fits into real life. You just open the app. Sunday night, you're like, okay, what's my week looking like? What's my availability this week? Which days are good to train or not? You just tell it how much time you have, and Join will give you a ride plan automatically within a second for that week that adapts to your goals. And if you skip a session, just tell it. There's no emotions attached to it, no guilt needed. You want to shuffle a workout, shuffle it on that morning. If you wake up cranky like I do half the time, Join keeps you moving forward without that guilt, without the pressure. Whether you're riding to get faster, stay fit, or just to feel good on the bike, Join makes every ride count. You can get started using the link in the show notes. You just go through there, download the app on your phone. You can do it in less than a minute, no credit card required. You get a 30-day free trial, and then after that, it's less than 10 euros or USD a month, which is the cheapest form of training partner I could imagine there could be. So thanks to Join Cycling for supporting our coverage throughout July, all the Tour de France stages. It means a lot for your support for the show. But we're on to the Cat 1, Benji. AVDB's gone, and it's just, I don't really know what the plan is now for the group behind, actually.
Yeah, it's an intriguing situation that we've got created here, because Anna van der Breggen didn't just attack once, didn't just attack twice. I swear she had to attack 4 times, and like you said, she was neutralized initially by the likes of Ferrand-Prevot, but also later by FDG Suez, and that was the team that was riding after her while she was off the front. So let's say she had a gap of 10-15 seconds at first, then it's in the group behind, Juliette Labou pacing behind her. Eventually, Evita Music also comes back. She takes over from Labou. But after that, it's also again Labou taking over towards the top. So FDG Suez is controlling Anna van der Breggen here. And on one end, I can see no reason to specifically mark van der Breggen. But on the other end, you've got a situation where Ferrand-Prevot and Gigante are relatively neutralized, I would say, in this situation. So if you go to Jouplan, you'd rather go with your opponents neutralized, right?
I mean, yeah, you're going to keep them isolated. So you pace with one rider. I didn't know if they were defending GC of Music. I didn't really... Yeah, I got to say I didn't really understand it, because you pace with Music after this climb on the... I get it uphill, Benji, but then...
Yeah.
Like Amber Krak or whoever's like 30 seconds behind, and then you just pace with Music dying in the valley before Jouplan. I didn't really get it, to be honest. And there's just no way Van der Breggen's, even if she's in better shape than yesterday, she's going to make it. Like, she's not going to do a solo raid. It's just not going to happen. Like, Gigante's going to attack on Jouplan. But I do get wanting to isolate PFP. I do get wanting to not have Femke de Vries there, even offering moral support or just bringing a bid on from the car. You increase the chance that PFP makes a mistake if she's isolated the whole stage. But yeah, the really strange thing was vollering full sprinting Maeva Squibon for QOM points, which she also didn't win.
Like, on one end, I can see the idea of, okay, Elise Chabi is in the QOM jersey and Maeva Squibon is in the group with Vollering. So if Vollering sprints here, then she can try and outsprint Squibon to prevent Squibon from taking a large amount of points to potentially later overtake Chabi. But I'm sorry, we're trying to win a Tour de France Femmes here.
Isn't that, yeah, it's the optics is terrible.
Yeah, it's like, sure, it's very nice of Demi Vollering that she's willing to do that for her teammate, but she shouldn't be doing that. Like, inherently, Demi Vollering should be focused on trying to win this race still, but also not just on trying to win this race, on trying to optimize her chances for second as well. Yes, the Jouplan descent is coming. Yes, we expect Gigante to have a weaker descent there than the rest of the GC riders, but you might as well optimize your energy spending throughout the stage, and doing so by trying to outsprint Maeva Squibon, who beats her at the QOM. So in the end, it's also a worthless effort. I'm sorry, but Labou is still in that group, no? Was Music still in that group? Why are they not doing this?
I have no idea.
Or another option, what if Labou attacks in the last kilometer towards the top? Do you think someone in that group will inherently immediately try to chase Juliette Labou towards the top? No, then you've got Labou taking points away instead of Vollering. So there's other ways to do it.
I think this is a good point to maybe like have the discussion, because we're not going to do a Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift total recap, but FDJ Suez, like, what was their plan with Vollering this whole race?
Honestly, to me, their plan looked
like they spent more energy going for minor random shit, like shabby QM. It's not shit, it's a jersey, I understand, but the whole week, when Vollering was the favorite, going for Labou and Music top 10, going for maybe a stage with them, they put more effort into these minor things than really ever trying to execute a plan for Vollering to take time anywhere.
To me, it looked like they started the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift with, okay, Vollering, we expect her to be the strongest on Côte de la Madeleine, so in these first stages towards that, we're going to try and just stay in the group, etc. And in the meanwhile, we'll try and get stuff from other riders, like the shabby QM jersey, etc., stuff like that, which those are opportunities to already take care of other podium competitors and perhaps victory competitors. Like, it's not impossible if you completely smash the first 6 days that a Gigante or a Ferrand-Prevot has trouble. Gigante especially. She could have been on a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes before the stage if we had a optimized FDJ Suez strategy throughout this race. But even if you discount Gigante, the fact that Labou before today's stage started barely was of any value towards Demi Vollering shows that they didn't have an optimized strategy to go all out for Vollering in the first place. And sure, Vollering's legs on Madeleine weren't necessarily good enough to compete with Ferrand-Prevot, but can I also be honest? I feel like the best way I would describe Demi Vollering's decision-making is self-sabotage. Because even, for example, on the Madeleine yesterday, she was the one that told Evita Music not to ride, not to wait for her. Like, I'm sorry, but it's also on the DS in that situation then override that, because that's just a stupid decision.
Yeah, and today, and the reason I bring it up is this point in the race here, the same thinking, we get to the bottom of the descent of the first category 1. Gigante's on a decent gap. Not like 1 second, not 30 seconds, but it's a gap. They're in the valley. No one immediately starts pacing except maybe Cassia, but she doesn't have a teammate. And then Labou comes back to start pacing because Gigante's dropped and you can move into second on GC. And then also Cassia will relay with you. And Vollering lets her wheel go. It's like trying to play like these high IQ games. It's like, it's not that complicated. She's dropped in second. You have a teammate. Just pull and destroy her in the valley. And because she's always trying to be like, oh no, we don't put pressure on the other teams. Like, remember we'd have SD work sometimes, Benji? They'd have like the 5-star favorites 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the Dutch women in the Olympics or world champs. They'd have the 4 of the top 5 favorites. And they're like, no, it's not up to us. Pressure the other teams. Like, no. It is up to you. You have a teammate, like, pull. Anyway, Gigante comes back. She can't believe her luck, probably, because she's like, I get to come back before the Jus Plan. Sweet. And yeah, the group comes back. A bigger group comes back. So now De Vries is there with Ferrand-Prevot. Van der Breggen begins the climb with 150. Gigante has teammates. She's got Hakira and Julie van der Velde. And Kerbel's got teammates. It's a proper peloton now. And we get to the base. And this has been coming for a while. Age Insurance lead Gigante in second wheel. Van der Velde, great job. Kerbel takes the outside line, crashes herself. And yeah, to be honest, this has been coming this week. And it's the worst time to crash. I mean, the worst time to crash at the base of the hardest climb left in the race. And she gets up. I think Nivea Doma went down. Her knee was bloodied. She gets back quicker. No mechanical. But Kerbel, her GC's finished here.
Yeah, her GC spot started dribbling down as she doesn't really make it back to the GC group here, because after Julie van der Velde's turn in that GC group for Gigante, it's Justine Hikiri that takes over. And with 9 kilometers to the top, Patrick, we've got the fast attack on this climb. Sarah Gigante attacks. It's like I've said it yesterday, she doesn't have the greatest acceleration, but she goes to the front, she hammers the tempo, and there are people that start to drop. And in the wheel is still Pauline Ferrand-Prevot, Niewiadoma, Demi Vollering, Fisher Black, Labou, and Vlodarczyk. So Royakkers a bit of a shocker from this point onwards, because on paper you'd say that Royakkers is good at these longer climbs, but she drops off the back here, and she drops all the way back to the Cédric Cabal group at this point, so she's out of the top steps of GC as well after this moment, not in contention here. So then the question is, Patrick, Gigante, what is she going to do now? All those riders are in her wheel, so she continues for maybe 1 to 2 kilometers of pacing, maybe 1.5 kilometers, and she stops pacing, and that's when the tempo dies out. And yes, Anna van der Breggen had 1:50 at the bottom. She's actually holding quite well at the moment. She's still a significant distance ahead of these riders, and Lucinda Brandt comes from the back and starts what looked like an attack at first, right?
I think she was, yeah, but then Niewiadoma or someone followed her, or Labou followed her, so then she just starts pacing for Fisher Black's GC position. Royakkers and Kerbal are dropped, as you said, so she can move Fisher Black up on GC, and who knows what can happen afterwards. And yeah, Gigante's in a tough spot. I don't think she had the legs of yesterday, to be honest. Also, Ferrand-Prevot is not going through, so maybe if Ferrand-Prevot had been aggressive, she could have gone with her. That wasn't happening. Ferrand-Prevot is just riding defensively, and because Gigante needs 30 seconds minimum at the top of Jutland to Niewiadoma and Vollering, minimum. And yeah, she can't get that, and so she tries again. At the later sections, the gap was coming down really fast after Brand stopped pacing, because then it was always at like 150, 140 to Van der Breggen. When Gigante would start to pace, it would go way down. Labou starts to pace, goes down 110. It was at 45 seconds. Vollering attacks. I actually don't know what Vollering is doing. I got to be frank with you, Benji.
Can I be honest? You know what I think she was doing? And I don't understand it at all, because she keeps doing it every single climb from this point onwards. She attacks towards the QOM and stops on the line. This can't seriously be about QOM anymore, right? Because that would make no sense. She attacks here, in doing so dropping Labou, the rider you want after the descent of the Jutland. She stops at the QOM point, lets Labou come back, which is good, but that would mean that the attack was simply for QM points, but Squibon is nowhere near you, so
Labou was in front, pacing.
Mate, I don't fucking know, man. Like, I have no explanation for this activity. She tried to secure P2 in QOM is the only thing I can imagine.
She did this on top of Grenier, right? And PFP looked at her like, what are you doing?
Like, it can't be just positioning either. Like,
no, because then you don't stop and then lose positions to the descent.
I think she thought that her taking the QOM points there would help Shabby secure QOM, which it doesn't move anything at all. Anyway, that's what happens. That she attacks twice to get towards the top of this climb, drops Labou in the process, she stops pacing at the top, Labou comes back. I think, okay, Labou's going to start pacing into the descent to put pressure on Gigant. Labou goes off the front, and there's a gap now. And what if Niewiadoma doesn't close Labou here down?
PFP doesn't give a shit. Like,
then there's no pressure on Gigante if Niewiadoma doesn't do this.
I have no, yeah. But like,
so if DG is lucky that Niewiadoma's there.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't really understand it. And yeah, Niewiadoma and Labou send it. Niewiadoma in particular. Gigante holds on okay. She's like dangling at 5-7 seconds, salvageable. But then on the bottom of this descent, the gap really goes out. It's like 35-40 seconds. And to be honest, now they realize Niewiadoma immediately paces in the valley. Vollering starts pulling. Labou also, she comes back. And now with Vollering having a teammate who can just pace for her own GC and move Vollering into second, this is the worst possible valley for a solo climber to be chasing. It's false flat downhill, pedaling, 5 or 4 against 1, because also Vlodarczyk starts pulling, Fisher Black starts pulling. It's 5 against 1. PFP's not pulling, but we even saw Vlodarczyk and Niewiadoma yelling at each other in Polish. So where did she finish? Oh yeah,
Vlodarczyk.
Yeah, Vladacek was okay in terms of GC, but I was like, Fisher-Black was playing it a bit cool. She wasn't pulling so much. She was kind of 1 foot in for the stage and not going all out for maybe 5th on GC. And yeah, Gigante's podium, I'm afraid. At that point, it's just done. It's done. Like, if she was 30 seconds back at the base of Corbière, she can come back. But she isn't.
Like, I'll be honest, but the second she gets dropped in Jouplan descend, even if the gap's only 20 seconds, the fact that Labou is ahead with that group, the fact that it's not just Vollering who can benefit from this, it's also Niewiadoma who can end up on the podium. Lots of riders can move up in GC, so they all want to cooperate. So it wasn't just Labou having to do stuff. Like you said, there were some other riders reeling a bit as well with their... So we through this valley, the gap just explodes from 20... To be honest, it was from 50 seconds, I think, at the foot of the Jouplan descent to 1 minute 30 or something. And we're not even at the start of the Col du Corbière at this point. It goes up to 2 minutes 10 before we get to that climb. So that's a massive gap. And
she's getting cooked.
Kind of... True. She was getting... She looked cooked at the end of Jouplan already a little bit. And we haven't spoken about her for a while, but in the entire time that we've been yapping about FJ Suez, about Gigante, Van der Breggen is still ahead. She gets caught finally at the foot of the Col du Corbière, but a fantastic ride by Van der Breggen. Absolute cyclismo. It was a mission that didn't look like it had a massive chance for success when FDJ Suez took up the race, but you never know. You never know that something changes behind.
If they chilled out, if the Ferrand-Prevot descent problem didn't happen, and she gets in the break and she had Kopecky and Brand, and they get over the first Cat 1, and then pull the valley into Jouplan, she has a chance. But that didn't happen. But then, because then you got 2 trucks pulling, and you're saving way more energy in the valleys. So I think the way the race played out really hurt Van der Breggen. But yeah, Labou, and unfortunately I have this sludge in my mind now. I think when I hear Labou, I think Labubu, because my wife said that's what Quinn Simmons' fiance had on her backpack when he did a proposal on the Champs-Elysees. I still don't know what a Labubu is or are, but
you were speaking absolute gibberish to me, mate.
So a Labubu, apparently they're all the rage, Benji.
We are getting too old for this world, I think.
Are
we boomers?
No. I don't think even if I was 18, I would have known what a Labubu is.
It's a collectible plush toy monster elf.
I know free ads.
Unless we get an affiliate link for Labubus, we will never mention it again, I'm afraid.
So yeah, Labou goes to the front. She drills Corbière. Mega strong Labou. I feel like now the stage wind starts to get in place. So the gap goes to 3 minutes to Gigante on Corbière, or after Corbière. She gets to Van der Breggen, goes past her. The curious thing after Corbière, Benji, is Labou keeps pulling all out, and then I was thinking, why? Demi's 1 minute behind her on GC. You can play a little, like with the others, like Fisher-Black. It's your 5th on GC. Vladacek, it's your 4th on GC. Niewiadoma, it's your 3rd on GC. Why don't you play a little, make the others pull, Labou attack? That doesn't happen. Labou pulls. I think, Benji, your idea is that she just wants to secure her own GC.
I think that's the sole reason here.
Okay.
And I guess
it's fine. Fisher-Black doesn't pull, which is she plays a dangerous game with a 5th on GC, because to be honest, I didn't see a way for her to win the stage, because Ferrand-Prevot, Benji, we've not had to mention.
I was watching
what she had to do all day. Well, after she
didn't
came
have to do anything.
Just chilling.
I think the only moment where Ferrand-Prevot had to do anything in this entire race was trying to catch up at the start, and then unnecessarily responding to all the attacks on the first climb of the day. That's the only thing I've seen Ferrand-Prevot do. Pedal too much.
She still refused to pull. Like, she was like, even when Marion Bunel was going backwards, she's like, I'm not pulling. Likanoyan can pull me back. She still didn't hit the wind. But the stress...
Let's be honest. If she arrived at the foot of the next climb, 2 minutes behind with the level we saw yesterday, probably comes back.
Yeah. So she's not had to do anything. Vollering starts to play for the stage win a little bit. Labou's pacing. Vollering puts a big attack. There's an uncategorized climb. Gigante's out of the picture. Niewiadoma has the podium wrapped up, so she doesn't need to really play for the... She can play for the stage win now as well. Vollering, big attack, stops. Last kicker before a right-hand hairpin, and then you can re-kick again. Then the climb ends. Pulling Ferrand-Prevot, who we were looking at the whole time, Benji. Is she going to do anything? Didn't go on Chouplan. Didn't go on Corbière. Is she going to do anything? She hits them. They get a bit surprised. Comes across Niewiadoma. Fisher Black responds. She's nearly in the wheel. Then Ferrand-Prevot re-kicks out of the corner. It flattens off at 5%. Fisher Black puts the head down, and Ferrand-Prevot is going away for the stage win. It hovers at 9-10 seconds for a while. Vollering trying to relay with Niewiadoma. Eventually, when they get to the 2K 5% climb at the end, not catching her. They had to do more work than her. Ferrand-Prevot wins the stage in yellow. 20 seconds ahead of Vollering, who drops Niewiadoma at the end. Fisher Black, Niewiadoma 23 seconds. Fisher Black 23 seconds. Wlodarczyk, probably the breakout performer of this Tour de France almost. Yeah, we'll get to her GC in a second, but yeah, crazy result. Imagine if she'd been there with a good, at least along Borghini. Lebu on 149. She emptied herself for Vollering. Gigante loses 353. And now look at these gaps. Cedrine Kerbol, who we haven't mentioned, her and Royackers, they just never come back. 9:22 and 9:23. Nadia, crazy. Nadia Gontova, the Canadian, on WinSpace Orange Seal. That's got to be their first top 10 of this race. Crazy. 10th. She's 24, but again, she's like one of these. She's young to cycling, road cycling. Like she's been racing in Europe for. Last year was the first time she raced in Europe. She's been racing in Europe basically for like a year. She did her first European stage race in September last year. Gontova. Get her in.
She needs to be a World Tour rider in the future.
Get her in.
Anyway, we where are we in the stage now? Because I zoned out while you were talking about Gontova. As in the stage is over, okay.
The stage is over. It was okay.
I love the first half of the stage. The first 60% of the stage towards the foot of the descent, towards the end of the descent of Chouplan. Great stage. After that, it's kind of a done deal, because the way Labu was pacing, I didn't expect Ferrand-Prevot would be attacked anymore. The way Gigante was looking, I expected her to lose so much time that she would be on the podium. So she also ends up not being in the top 5 of GC because Fisher Black, despite not necessarily riding that much, and she was actually getting criticized by commentators, Fisher Black, for riding in that group, even though she could literally top 5 this Tour de France Femmes by riding. So it doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, she finishes 5th in this race, so also quite a good result for Niamh Fisher Black there, especially considering her mechanical that you mentioned yesterday. But we should go through GC in total, Patrick. Ferrand-Prevot wins the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift after winning Paris-Roubaix already earlier this season. Your turn, Tadej. Demi Vollering finishes 2nd on 3:42. Niewiadoma 3rd on the podium once again for the 4th year in a row. Consistency true and true on 4 minutes and 9 seconds. And a Polish rider that is not called Niewiadoma in 4th place, Patrick. How insane is that?
Pretty good.
Understatement for Wlodarczyk.
I mean, 2 Polish riders in the top 4. Wlodarczyk would have been the helper for Lisa Longo Borghini. She's only 24 herself. And she was on ATOM developer Rocklaw in 23, UAE last year, and just has progressively kept improving. She's just an all-round good climber, not a super lightweight climber, so she can ride the flat. And she basically, her last 4 stages, 5th, 5th, 7th, 5th, never having teammates. Oh, she had Squib on helping a little bit yesterday, but to me, that's the breakout GC performance from anybody. And it's for UAE, Team ADQ, when they went down to 4 riders, with Chapman out with sickness in the team, with ELB just bad and sick or whatever, to win 2 stages with a French rider and 4th in GC is probably unimaginable return for them.
Do we know who won super combativity in this race? Because on one end, Maeva Squibon could win it. On the other end, another rider that I think could deserve it is Franziska Koch. Squibon apparently won it according to Luke, but I would also want to give my personal combativity to Koch because she was super offensive in the first few days, being attacking on the stage that, of course, were not necessarily leading to a breakaway victory, but also on the stage where she wasn't into the attack, for example, today, she was by the side of Nienke Vinke, who does secure the white jersey in this race. So that is massively deserved there. We did not discuss the rest of the top 10 of GC, so I should probably do that. Fisher Black is 5th on 625. Gigante finishes 6th on 640. Labous 7th, so she moves up quite a few positions to 913. Cedrin Kerbal loses 3 positions. Roakers as well. They finish 8th and 9th. And Muzik is a third rider from FDJ Suez in the top 10 of GC. But about Gigante here for a second. Like, she's a top 3 climber in the world at the moment. I think that's fair to say. We should still consider Demi Vollering at her best as one of those 3 riders. Yes, in the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift this year on Madeleine, the climbing power didn't necessarily show that she had even earlier this year in, was it Basque Country where she rode a strong climb as well?
Vollering.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in those short Spanish climbs. I can't remember which one it was called. The Mendizo is the last stage. Mendes Ross. Yeah, she was flying.
So, like, she's still within that bracket of the top 3 climbers together with the likes of Gigante, together with a brand new Ferrand-Prevot. So, curious what her goals are going to be in the future for Ferrand-Prevot, because stepping into the world of road cycling again, coming back from a mountain bike career, which was pretty damn successful, I would classify, winning Paris-Roubaix, winning Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. I'm sorry, but what is next? Trying to go for Giro Tour Vuelta combination?
I don't think so. Because the difference is, Vollering is good all year round, climbs well all year round. Ferrand-Prevot, clearly, like, let's be open and frank about it, she looks way skinnier than in the classics. And so, is she going to be able to do that year round? I don't know. But Vollering is sort of more on the always good. Like, Pogacar's always good, and Pogacar doesn't really, his weight, he doesn't seem to fluctuate in weight. I know it's a tricky topic, but it is also the reality. Like, Ferrand-Prevot's climbing on her feet and climbing here is completely different. So,
I fully agree with that.
Is she going to be able to...
I also want to... Go ahead, sorry.
Well, she clearly went and she treated the Madeleine like the Olympic Games road race. And that everything was building to this 1 hour effort. And that's a different way of approaching the sport, I think, to, like, Vollering is good in February and destroys everyone in Valencia. Vollering is good in the Ardennes. She wins the Vuelta. Like, it's just a different approach. And can Ferrand-Prevot take that attitude to 8 months of cycling year round? Is she motivated to do that? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know either. I don't know what her next goals and next dreams are. We'll see about that once she motivates and talks about them in the future. But I do want to hammer home the point that yes, we spoke about her looking skinnier, but that doesn't mean that every single rider in the world would optimize their performance by losing weight. Then we dive into the topic of eating disorders within the sport, which is still an active problem, especially in women's cycling as well. So I hope that we don't see every other athlete now trying to lose weight significantly towards a certain goal in their season, because that can lead to significantly worse results, and health has a consequence as well. So that is a little bit of an add-on I wanted to give there. But towards the positive outcomes of this Tour de France, who are the riders, Patrick, that if you look at this Tour de France Femmes, outside of a Vlodarczyk, outside of a Gigante with a fantastic climbing performance, yes, her descending is still not as good as it can be. She has improved, though, over the last couple of years, I would say. But are there any other riders you would like to pick out and say, okay, this rider, I'm surprised by how good they were?
Yeah, Maeva Squibon, obviously. She won 2 stages. She was excellent. I'm not really surprised by Kim Lecourt-Pina. I would say her level was completely in line with being a Liège winner. We had a load of punchy stages where she was excellent. She won Liège. To me, that makes a lot of sense. So I was almost more surprised how well she climbed at the start of Madeleine yesterday. I think Gigante is making great progress. She'll be disappointed today, but like, Gigante is much, much better with her handling and descending already. If she makes another step, the same amount as she did this year to the next season, then she'll be like average, which is then she would be on the podium. So I think she's making great progress. finishing, sixth, or where she finished in GC? Sixth. With maybe, being the second best pure climber in the race. There's no shame in that. I'm really happy she got that good result, and she's got still stuff to work on. That's fine. She's young.
And also, the reality is we've seen her progression when it comes to the descending. You pointed at it. She's gotten better. People that watch this Tour de France Femmes but don't necessarily follow the other races might be like, okay, why does this rider so good at climbing, and it has been in the sport for so long time, but her descending's not that good? She's improved. That is 100% true, and that's the reality of she's come to the forefront of the sport even more this year now, where, let's be honest about it, a mainstream cycling viewer might not have known Sarah Gigante that much before this year. She won 2 Giro stages this year, followed by being second on the Madeleine, top 6 at the Tour de France Femmes after podiuming the Women's Giro as well. That's an outstanding year palmarès, in my opinion, especially after coming back from so many injuries and health trouble over the last couple of years. And like you say, she has a way to go when it comes to the descending, but if she can improve that even a little bit, then more and more results will come her way.
Well, like your point on Ferrand-Prevot, I'm just thinking about what she got left to conquer. Olympics, world champ.
I think it's personal preference.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Olympic road race?
That's when's that? 28.
2028, so it's a year longer than her contract.
Maybe the classics. I think San Remo, Tour of Flanders would be sick. Maybe the classics next year, who knows? But yeah, it's crazy because this was supposed to be a 3-year project that she achieved in the first 6 months, winning the Tour. And to be honest, and
insane.
People are like, oh, were you sandbagging? I mean, no one really could know. The proof is in the pudding. You don't know what you're going to do on Madeleine.
Yeah.
Like, you can prepare for it, but at the end of the day, after a mega hard mountain stage, you don't really know what's going to happen. And yeah, she was crazy, crazy good. So hats off to her, one of the hardest workers in the sport. Otherwise, what about FDJ, Benji? How do you think how do you feel? Or where do you go from here?
I don't think they should feel too great after this Tour de France Femmes either. Like, on one end, I don't think perfect tactics would have won them the race. Let me get that straight. But I do think the way they approached this race was not optimal, because if after the stage, the team might think, okay, yeah, we secured the second place with Vollering, that's great. We went with Laboy into the top 10, etc. I'm sorry, but the reality is, if they played every single stage before Madeleine perfectly, then Gigante wouldn't have been in front of Vollering before the stage even started. And on top of that, what if Gigante is out of GC? What if they ride Gigante out of GC before Madeleine? Then Madeleine is approached differently. Ferrand-Prevot, do you think Ferrand-Prevot waits longer to attack than Gigante would?
I don't really know. I think she was just going to follow whatever Gigante did. But yeah, I think Gigante would have attacked even earlier. So if she was further behind.
Or if she was out of GC, would Gigante then have ridden for Le Cours Pinard?
Yeah, I don't actually know, but
changed a lot of things, eh?
It changed a lot of things. And at the end of the day, Benji, when you look at this final stage, if Vollering had only been 30 seconds behind PFP, they could have made her life very, very difficult, because she was isolated for so long. They had Muzic there, they had Labu there. But the reality is, I think the crash cost her. I'm assuming it's the crash, because Vollering's level on Madeleine yesterday, when you see the watts, PFP did a great performance, but Vollering on Tourmalet in 23 is more or less the same.
Yeah.
So her performance yesterday, where she's not dropping Cedrine Kerbold, that's not Vollering's level. At least
it's also because if you look at the inherent watt per kilo, then yesterday might be better actual numbers, but then you need to adjust it to sea level, right?
Yeah, but they're both up to about 2,000 meters.
Ah, okay. Fair. It's potatoes then.
I'll say yes, there's a pretty hard stage. Yeah, potatoes. Tomatoes. But still, let's say she was at a very good level, not her Tourmalet level. Then she loses probably 30 seconds. Maybe she's with Gigante, worst case. Then you still can do something today. But yeah, 3 minutes, what are you going to do with that? And they raced in that fashion today, obviously, because she knew she wasn't going to overhaul 3 minutes. So is it the fatigue from the racing before? Is it the pressure? Is it the energy throughout the race? Is it just that she crashed? I don't know. What we haven't seen, Benji, on a longer climb, we have not seen for 2 years Vollering perform at a 23 level on Tourmalet.
Yep.
We've seen it in some Spanish races on a 15-minute, 5% climb. We have not seen it on a half an hour, maybe in Swiss, I guess, close, but not in the Tour. And it could just be crashes, but I don't know.
What else did we learn today, Patrick? We learned that, I don't know, I was going to make a Labubu joke.
Kobold takes too many risks. Kobold takes too many risks that are pointless. Like, what's the point in going alongside Agent Insurance into that climb and just crashing yourself?
No value. Like into the descent, that makes sense. It's a
45-minute, 9% climb. Like,
especially if you know that Agent Insurance is going to be the one setting the pace anyway.
Yeah. And Kobold's been doing this. It gained her 11 seconds on one stage, but they're at least trying to take time. But yeah, she does take a lot of risks and misses a lot of corners beyond her level. And today she paid for it. Whereas I would say Nuvia Doma doesn't. It's like, Bilbao is the best descender in the world because he doesn't crash because he descends still within his limits. Morridge is the biggest risk taker.
And an aero freak as well in descent.
And an aero freak as well. What would you like to see differently from the route next year?
Ooh. Like,
TT.
On one end, I fear that I think a TT is valuable. I fully agree we need to get a TT. But I also don't hate necessarily the backloaded factor of the race. Because if I think... Or do you think it changes this entire... Maybe with the starting field, maybe it changes the way the race is written. Imagine if you have Madalena stage 2, for example. That would change every single hill stage how it's written, no?
Yeah, I think the TT would have been good because the pure climbers that were good yesterday, they get put on a big gap by the Vollerings. It would have been... If it's going to be the Tour de France, it has to have a TT. And if you're going to have the Madeleine, I think it needs to be counterbalanced with a flat 20-kilometer TT, personally. I would have liked to have seen.
Ferrand-Prevot's TT, I also wouldn't necessarily expect it to be on like the highest level of the sport.
No, I think it'd be not good.
If anything, it's to counter
compared to
Ferrand-Prevot. Yeah, true. It balances the level out at the moment if there was a time trial in this race.
Yeah. So yeah, I think TT would have been nice. How would you rate this Tour de France, Benji?
Oh, I would say 7-ish.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5, 7. Like it was
7.
First stage, very exciting. I thought a couple of sprints I can forget with Vibers. Mavi Garcia attack win was cool. I could have done with a TT around there. Then, yeah, there's just the medium mountain stages where kind of nothing happened.
One descent finish is enough.
Yeah, they were. And then you go from them to like a mega hard mountaintop finish. Like I think a 6K 6% finish would have been nice as a warm-up to Madeleine.
Like Mont d'Or kind of vibe. That Puy de Sancy whatever.
Yeah.
Or like a hill stage that is harder than the ones we had in this race.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every uphill finish here was either a super high mountain or a hilly sprint where a rider like Niewiadoma can't make the difference. I low-key would like to see a Niewiadoma-like finish at some point in this Tour de France, you know?
Yeah. There was no puncher. Oh, that's not true. The first two were. But there's no like Liège. Last year they had the Liège stage. And then the final stage, I think, was really well designed. I really think this was a well-designed final stage. There was a raid. I mean, someone lost their podium on the final stage. I think that's a pretty big change on a final mountain stage, someone going from 2nd to 6th. And if Ferrand-Prevot was closer, then, yeah, like maybe if Vollering and her are locked in a duel yesterday, this stage today would have been insane. So I think the last two stages were fine. Should probably need a TT and an uphill medium mountain finish somewhere along the line.
Patricio, I have to offer an official apology from the podcast because Miss Rouge has reported to us that the creature she saw on the bag wasn't not actually a labubu in the first place. So she had mistakenly given us false information. You have no answer.
Well, there you go. I learned about what a labubu is for nothing.
The one thing we learned today, Patrick, is that instead of spending your money on labubu, spend it on a joint cycling subscription.
Exactly. Exactly. It's cheaper. I mean, I don't know what a labubu costs, but for sure the joint cycling subscription is cheaper. And
it is. Can confirm.
It is? There you go. There you go. That ends a month of straight of cycling. I think this was an exciting Tour de France Femmes. I think the strangest thing was probably when David Lepatier handed the phone with Emmanuel Macron, we assume, on the phone to Ferrand-Prevot at the interview, where I wonder if Macron knew that she had TV cameras on her and a speaker in front of her, because that was a kind of strange situation. But yeah, he didn't give her much airtime.
I have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. I didn't see it.
So Ferrand-Prevot's interview finishes, TV interview.
Yeah.
She's got the mic in front of her. Lepatier comes in from the side, hands her a phone, and it's got to be Macron, right? And
has to be. Or are you? Because you were late to this podcast 2 minutes, so I assume you were calling her, telling her that better what's next year. Come on.
The postman doesn't get a phone call to congratulate him for delivering the mail.
Okay. I assume it was the president.
So it was Macron, another man with short man syndrome like myself, and yeah, it was strange because she was speaking into the microphone, but you couldn't hear what was on the other side of the call. But then I wondered, does he know that she's on live TV?
I think it was your imitation of the Marseillaise, Patrick. Come on, give it to us for everybody.
De la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. The French women, let's finish with this. The French women have shown the French men that you got nothing. You haven't won a World Tour stage race in 35 years. You've been, I mean, what's going on? And the French women, let's run through them. Maeva Squibon, double stage win, thanks for coming. Cedrine Cobalt, Descent Demon. Vida Muzic, Juliette Labou, Marion Brunel, the 20-year-old. And then to cap it off, Ferrand-Prevot. She takes road cycling seriously for 6 months and wins the Tour de France. What have the men been doing?
Can't have been taking road cycling seriously, huh?
But it is a great day for France. Like, I think it's very exciting. Good for women's cycling that such a big star wins. Ferrand-Prevot is properly famous in France and globally, but in France, like mega star. And I think it's good for the sport. But yeah, French women's cycling right now is in he might even take over the Dutch. Luke is getting a bit nervous. Like, the Dutch did not dominate this Tour de France like they are used to doing. The Dutch were good in the first half, but in the second half, the French took over when the climbing started. So,
is SD Works dead? Probably not, because Rivers won green in 2 stages, but the fact that they started Tour de France Femmes with no GC ambitions in the first place, that's a bit worrying.
Well, yeah, Van der Breggen said she wasn't really going for GC. I mean, she probably could have top 10'd in the end, but that's not what she came for. She went for a stage. I think my favorite thing I'll remember from this Tour de France Femmes is Justine Herkira. I think she was the MVP teammate of the whole Tour de France. Also, Kim Lecourt-Pinart in the yellow jersey. Before she lost the time, already sacrificing for Gigante, I think is not something to take for granted yesterday. I think a lot of people in her position would have said, well, I'm still in yellow. Let me do my Madeleine. But she did it before. Credits to her. And credits to AG Insurance Soudal. I think they did the best race possible. And yeah, Marion Brunel's pull on the Madeleine yesterday brought me to tears, I got to say. Seeing the French connection, I loved it. You've been
shouting that the Slovakians are coming.
Yeah, Ferrand-Prevot, that's why she had to win. Because she knows there's a storm coming in the next couple of years. There's a storm coming, and so you better get it out of the way. Okay. Let us know what was your most memorable part of this Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Did you enjoy it? What did you like? What's your thoughts on the parkour design? I think we're well set, Benji, for another year next year, because even if Vollering dominates the spring, there'll be this question mark. Can she do it in the Tour against Ferrand-Prevot, who's doing her peak?
Exactly, and like, I feel like we've had a few moments in the last couple of years where we were like, okay, panicking, okay, is Demi Vollering going to dominate 5 Tour de France's? She lost last year thanks to crashing and being left behind by her team. She lost this year partially because of crashing, but also because her legs were not what they were 2 years ago. Now, can she get that back for next year? Ferrand-Prevot's here as well. Gigante, can she improve her descending by a little bit again to try and stay with groups in the descent like the Jules Plan, for example? All these factors play into it, and then you've got this upcoming group of riders like Florjarczyk stepping up and literally finishing 4th at the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift at the age of like 24 or something.
24.
She's got growth as well, so that team has a potential follow-up for Longo Borghini in the future as well, and there's these candidates moving up left and right, and I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Gigante's 24. Fisher Black's 24. I mean...
You're 30. Sorry, I had to mention
not 30. Muzic is 26. Lebu is 26. These riders are all in their peak or entering their early peak. And who knows if someone steps up? Like, who knows? Someone else might step up and just like a Vladarchik and just progressively improve. So I think women's cycling is really, really exciting at the moment. Lots of good names. There's decent parity. Like, anyone can win the biggest races. So, yeah, very, very exciting. I hope you enjoyed our coverage of it. Thanks as always. And we'll be back with the weekly show on Tuesday or Wednesday. Ciao, ciao.